Hi everybody, happy Thursday. Welcome to Lunchtime Live. I'm Pia from Stitches and Scraps and this is episode 37. In this episode I am going to show you how to make an easy button. Let me know if you're watching, if the sound is good. I normally test it and I didn't test the sound this time, but I think it's fine. Okay, so Lunchtime Live, for those of you who are new, is basically my video version of a newsletter. So first I've got a lot of stuff to share with you about what's new on the blog, what's going on, new projects coming up, all of that. And then at the end, I will do a little bit of a demo and show you a neat little button you can make. Hi Beth, is the sound good? Can you hear me okay? Let me know. Okay, well, I'm sure Beth will tell me if there's a problem, but anyway, so let's get started. This week's new pattern is this cabled pillow. Let's see if I can do this without knocking over any of my lights. I have actually a very tiny space back here, and there's lots and lots of light fixtures. So there's lots of cables on the floor. It's kind of a sea of cables. It's like walking through snakes. But anyway, this is the corner to corner, let me make sure the lighting looks good, corner to corner cables pillow. And I know that's a very descriptive pattern name. It starts in one corner and works up, and that's how you get this diagonal cable. And these cables along the side are actually worked at the same time. So that's part of the pattern too. And that's just the front panel. Excuse me. When you get to the back panel, these are cables also. This is post stitches. It's one row of regular stitches and then one row of post stitches. So it is raised as well as being a different color. And why that's important, the only reason that this pillow is in two colors to begin with is because I didn't have enough of the white. I finished the front and I'm like, yeah, there's no way I've got enough for the back. So I found another color of the same yarn in my stash and decided to do stripes. But I wanted to make sure the pillow would look good. Hi Marshall, nice to see you. Did I say that right? Tell me if I didn't say that right. But yeah, that's the only reason this has stripes. Literally, I ran out of yarn. But I wanted to make the pattern so that if you wanted to make it all white, like a more traditional cable sort of Aran color, that you could and still get this texture. So these bumps are actually, these stripes are actually raised bumps. And then of course, like I love to do with pillows, it has this opening, and I'm probably showing you my unwoven in ends, but it has this opening so that you can easily remove the pillow form and wash the cover. One thing I had thought about doing and then didn't do because I don't like, oh good, I said Marshall's name right, awesome. I'm not a huge fan of buttons on pillows because I don't like the bumps. I always end up putting my face on them. But one thing I had thought about doing was actually putting 3 buttons across this overlapping edge here so that you could hold it, you could close it tightly with buttons across the edge. But I decided against it. Another thing you can do if you want a tighter close is this is 6 rows overlapping. You could always do 8 rows overlapping, but I went with 6. And again, this used every scrap of the yarn that I had in my stash, and that's why there's another color. So I'd love to see some of these made with one color. I think it would look really cool. All right, so that is the new pattern for this week. And then I've got another new post coming this week, hopefully tomorrow. I know I promised it to you earlier, but I am writing up a full tutorial for the chainless starting double crochet, which we talked about last week. So I've got the video done for that already. I just have to write the post, and I'm hoping I get through that today so that that'll be up for you tomorrow. So a couple of exciting things coming up for next week. Oh, I forgot to tell you that pillow is actually my pattern for the Cozy at Home Crochet Along over on Crochet Along Central. So Crochet Along means prizes. Be sure to get over there and check that out. Thank you, Beth. Beth likes my background. This is new. Well, parts of it are new and it's not done yet. I got my hands on some really amazing cigar boxes, and that's what you see hanging there. And I would take one down and show you, but I'm afraid of ruining it because it's all very precariously balanced. But basically, I took the lids and the boxes, I put some scrapbook paper inside it, like I cut the scrapbook paper to fit and put it down inside with some glue dots. And then I put a picture hanger on the back. And so those are just hung up with picture hangers. They won't hold a lot of weight, but most of what I'm putting on there is like, you know, stuffies and yarn, and they don't need to hold a lot of weight. So that just got put up. It's not done yet because where you see the stuff hanging in the center right across here, I'm going to take that off and I'm going to put a black shelf across the middle there as soon as I find one I like and buy it, like a really thin, like picture ledge kind of shelf. And I'm going to put all my little stuffies on it, and then I'll dangle the other stuff off the bottom or on the sides or something like that. But I have quite a collection of stuffies now that I kind of wanted to display all together, so I'm going to get a little shelf for that, and then it will be done. I may do something different with these boxes too. That was kind of just a temporary thing. But anyway, yeah, that was a fun project. Okay, so on to what's new for next week. I'm very excited. This is my favorite one so far, you guys. Next week, the crochet along we've been doing here, the Stitches and Scraps crochet along, is the Fridgies magnets one, and you see a couple of my fridge magnets up there. This next one is my favorite so far. I gotta show this to you. This is the bunny magnet. Isn't he cute? I love this guy. I just finished the video for him, and he's going to be coming out next week. And again, with all of these, I'm trying to do a full video. So, and I love his ears are so stiff that you can actually like fold them over and they stay. So I'm very excited about that. And I like his little cheeks. I'm just totally in love with this magnet. I'm doing a whole series through the year, so I'm sure I'll find others I like better by the time I'm done. But right now, he is definitely my favorite. Don't tell the others. So he's coming out next week. And next week, the other thing I've got coming out is that chainless starting double crochet tutorial. And then for Lunchtime Live, this week I was going to show you 3 or 4 or 2 or however many I come up with different ways of joining when you're working in the round, but I decided I wanted to show you this button instead. So I'm going to show you this button. It's really easy and fast, and I use this all the time. So why would you crochet a button? Well, first of all, buttons are expensive. Like, especially if you make a lot of kids stuff. If you've ever made a kid's cardigan that needs 6 buttons, I promise you the buttons are costing you more than the yarn in most cases, unless you get the really boring ones. And you can never find the right color to match. So I really like cute buttons, and I do like to buy them sometimes, you know, especially when they're on sale or I have a coupon. But a lot of times also, let's face it, I'm up against a deadline. I need this now and I don't have time to run to the store. So I've taken to crocheting most of my buttons. I also like them for the really little kids under 3. I like to crochet the buttons because I feel like it's less of a choking hazard. Like it's not sharp edges or anything. I mean, I don't know that for sure because I guess they are still small pieces, but I feel like it's safer for little kids and they won't poke them and all of that. So anyway, this is why I like to crochet my buttons. And this button is the one I use all the time. I'm actually going to show you. I think this is the same button that I'm going to show you right now. This is on the raglan baby sweater that I'm doing for the knit along. Oh, I forgot to mention, I always mention this at the beginning. Any of the things I talk about in this video, if you want a link to it, look in the description on the video. You'll find a link to the blog post for this week's Lunchtime Live, and it has all the links for everything I talk about. So this link is there too. But this is the button that I put on my raglan baby sweater for the raglan baby sweater cowl. And I do have a post of 4 button patterns, 4 different button patterns. Some are decorative, some are useful. Out of the 4, this is what I use all the time. So there's a couple different variations. They all start with putting 6 single crochet into either a magic loop or into, make 2 chains and put it into the second chain. Beth, since I know you don't like magic loop, I'm going to go in the second chain for this one. I like to tease Beth. Okay, so this is 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, so there are 6 single crochet. And I'm going to go ahead and join them. You don't have to. For this button, you really, actually, you know what, I'll skip it, because you don't have to join them for this button. So for the first thing is you make 6 single crochet in a circle. The next step is to decrease this down to 3, and that's where you get different variations. So you can do the standard single crochet 2 together, which is like this. I'm going to show you I'm going to show you 3 different variations just so that you can see how they look different. And these gets really tight, you guys, so be aware of that. There we go. Okay, now that's down to 3, and then you fasten this off. There it is. Fasten this off, and use the ends, when you sew the ends shut, use the ends to kind of close it. So when I sew the ends shut on this, and I won't sew all of them because that takes longer, but when I sew the ends shut on this, I usually run it under all 3 of the stitches. So like this. And then through this stitch. And that gets it nice and closed. And then to make it more round, I go straight down through the center with both of the tails. And you can stuff it before you close it. Some people like to put a little tiny bit of stuffing in it. That's an option too, but I like to take both of the tails down through the center. And now these tails I will use, and I didn't quite hit center, but that's all right. These tails I'll use to weave it in, and there I have a little button. The stitches are really, you can't really tell the stitches on that very well, but that is button number 1. So the next way that I like to do it, and this is not the way I do it, and this one I'm going to show you now is not actually the way I do it all the time. But again, we're going to start with 6 single crochet. Oops. 3, 4, 5, 6, okay? And now to decrease down to 3, instead of doing the regular decrease, I'm going to do my, oh, my hands are too low, oh, sorry. Here, let's move this instead. How's that? Okay, good. So now instead of doing the normal, on that one, if you guys didn't see it, I did a normal single crochet decrease on all of the stitches, okay? You know where you pull through 2. But now I'm going to do my more invisible decrease, which is you go through the front loops only of each of the 2 stitches. And this leaves these back loops exposed, but it's a smaller decrease. It's not as bulky as the other ones. So this is another option. And again, this is not what I do. This is just one other option. Okay, and notice it's getting really tight near the end here. That's going to happen. So 1, 2. Okay, finish that, and then fasten this off and weave it in. And notice I'm not joining my rounds here because, you know, by the time you get to the end of it, you can hardly even see a round. But tighten that up, and then you can take these 2 tails and weave them through. Right down through the center. Let's see if I can actually come out at the center this time. There we go. And this one I'm going to go around those last few stitches just to close it off. There. And then back down through the center. Center. Yay, I got the center. So that is another format of the button, and then again these ends you can use to sew the button on. So that's another version. And you notice it's just ever so slightly smaller because that stitch is less bulky. So if you want a really, really tiny button, this one, you know, with this type of decrease is a little tiny bit smaller. Okay, the next version is the one I actually do almost exclusively all the time. It's much easier, it doesn't get so tight. So again, you start with the 6 single crochet in the circle. And by the way, this version, the first one I showed you, is what's actually in the 4 buttons pattern that I've linked over in the blog post. That was the way I started doing them when I first started doing these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's the way that I wrote that pattern. But these are just variations on this. Okay, so this is the way I normally do it. Are you ready? I normally do join for this method. Okay, so now I've joined and I've got my little ring and I chain 1, but then I'm going to skip a stitch and single crochet in the next stitch, and I'm going to do that 3 times. So 1, skip a stitch, single crochet in the next stitch, 2, skip a stitch, single crochet in the next stitch, 3. Okay, and then I do try to join again right back in here, because this doesn't have any of the bulk of the decreases, so I do want to actually do the join. There we go. So now when I fasten this off and weave that in, and you saw that was much easier, right? We didn't do decreases, we just skipped the stitches. But notice how that leaves the free loops of the 3 other stitches, that, you know, the ones that we didn't work into. You can see them here, and I think that's very pretty. I think it makes the button look a little bit lacy. So I like that look for the button, and that's how I do my buttons now when I make my own buttons. And I join, so I really don't even have to sew this shut down here. And I normally would actually just use these tails and weave them in the way they are. So yeah, I'm not going to sew it through the top. I would take these tails, I would just weave them into the fabric to attach the button. And that is my favorite version of these 3 little buttons that are all basically the same button, right? It's basically, you make 6 single crochet, you decrease down to 3, and then you weave in the ends, or you use the ends to attach it. That's it. That's the button. But I think it's all you really need for something like this, right? I mean, this is almost even too big for something like this. And it works great. It's the same color yarn. You can make it all matchy-matchy. I don't know. That's how I do my buttons. So I thought I would share that today, and that's all I had for you today. Does anybody have any questions for me or anything else you'd like to see? If you ever have any ideas of anything that you'd like to see in a Lunchtime Live demo. Now remember, the demos are usually like under 5 minutes, so keep it to something small. But anything that you want me to talk about or show you in a Lunchtime Live demo, just let me know. You can shoot me an email, you can comment on this video, you can find me on Facebook or Instagram, anywhere. I'm all over the place. So let me know. I'm always looking for ideas. And that's all I have for you. So I will see you guys next week. I hope you have a very happy weekend. And thanks for watching Lunchtime Live. Bye.